Hello and welcome to the Multi-Story Thinking Podcast. This is a special Clerkenwheels series, a set of conversations that sit at the intersection of design, movement, inclusion and collective action. Clerkenwheels is a multi-day cycle ride that brings together designers, thinkers, educators and allies to raise funds and awareness for United in Design, supporting outreach programs to help open up the built environment professions to people from underrepresented backgrounds. Along with my friend Tom Bourne, we're riding from the University of Plymouth to Clerkenwell Design Week from the 15th to the 19th of May. But Clerkenwheels is about more than cycling. It's about who gets to participate, whose voices are heard, and how we design systems, spaces and cultures that are genuinely more inclusive. Across this series, we'll be speaking with people who are supporting the ride, hosting stop-offs, sponsoring the event, riding alongside us, or simply sharing ideas that challenge how we think about design, access and impact. You don't need to be a cyclist to be part of the conversation, just curious, thoughtful and open to change. So whether you're listening as a designer, educator, business leader, student or supporter, welcome. Raaida Hossain, Yeji Son and Fanta Dembele have all taken part in United in Design's internship programme at David Collins Studio. Raaida is their current internee, with both Yeji and Fanta joining David Collins Studio as employees following their internship. David Collins Studio is an internationally renowned luxury interior design and architecture practice based in London and working across the world. The studio works with luxury and heritage brands and delivers industry-leading interior architecture and design within the hospitality sector. David Collins have supported the United in Design's internship programme from its inception in 2020. I interviewed Raaida, Yeji and Fanta alongside Emily Wilder, Head of People at David Collins Studio, in February 2026, ahead of our 5-day cycle ride to raise funds for United in Design's outreach programme. In addition to helping to support and promote our ride, David Collins Studio have sponsored our kit. We're very grateful for their help in organising that, and we're looking forward to riding in matching gear on our 5-day journey. In this episode, we discover how paid internships can increase accessibility, the importance of fostering an inclusive and welcoming studio culture, how a well-structured internship programme can help boost skills and provide an investment for the company and the wider design industry, and why it's always worth spending a bit of time doom scrolling on Instagram. Well, thanks very much everyone for joining me on this special Clerkenwheels episode of the Multi-Story Thinking Podcast. We're really excited to have David Collins Studios supporting the ride, and even more excited to speak to some of the people that are behind the scenes, I suppose, with some of the initiatives that United in Design are involved with, particularly the internship program, which you've got really good history of developing. Just start with you, Emily. Thanks again for joining us, and if you just give us a bit of background on why and how you got involved with United in Design, and a bit about how you've been running that internship program since the inception of it.
Fine. So I think, the murder of George Floyd, I think, like everybody, made us all stop and reflect, just personally and professionally, and just really made us think about what being diverse and inclusive means as a studio. Like what does that really look like? And we did some internal workshops. We were having kind of conversations and started thinking about how we can create change at studio level, and on a personal level. And then at the same time, Sophie reached out to Simon, our Chief Creative Officer, and explained about this amazing idea that her and Alex had come up with, to kind of make real meaningful change in the industry. And it just really encapsulated all of the conversations that we had been having internally, and also we didn't totally know what to do with it, or you have these big conversations, and how do you move forward with it. So it was just a really easy yes for us to kind of be part of this amazing initiative. And then from the internship perspective, we've kind of always had interns. It's always been kind of part of our DNA. And so nurturing kind of fresh talent, and watching these kind of brilliant designers emerge, um, that's just always been something that the team and that we all kind of love doing and have loved watching. So being able to offer that opportunity to the United in Design candidates just kind of made real sense for us. Just felt like an easy thing for us to kind of start offering and doing together.
Yeah, so you were already running that type of program. Do
Yeah,
you
so
have to realign the way you were thinking about that? I guess with that introspection, you might have sort of just well, what was the difference? Were you already thinking that you were quite diverse and inclusive, or was it when you looked into yourself, did you find there were big gaps or areas that you could really improve upon?
yeah, I think it's one of those situations where you like to think that you're kind of diverse and inclusive, and that you know, you're not discriminating in any way. So, you're doing the thing. And then when you have those conversations and you think actually just kind of doing that is not maybe enough, and we really need to kind of be looking at what can we do and where can we make change and how do we make change, and that kind of comes through into like recruitment and all of that. So I think that in terms of our internship program, we I think we'd always tried to offer a kind of well-rounded experience, but we really kind of wanted to make sure that these people who are coming into our studio, having gone through the United in Design kind of screening, and having to go through this like interview process where they were interviewed by four different people, then joined the studio, and had a really like enriching experience, and really got kind of a full understanding of how the studio worked and what we offer, and kind of making sure that the studio that they joined felt welcoming and not intimidating to be in this space.
That sounds quite well organized and very rigorous. So well, it'd be interesting to see the perspective of your internees.
Yeah,
But
let's test it.
yeah, let's see how it goes. But I'll come back to you later on because I want to just get a sort of overview of how it's been. But if we've got three interns and ex-interns who are now working for you, Fanta, Yeji, and Raaida. And if we start with, I've got them in the wrong order there. I was going to try and do it sequentially, but I've made a mistake already, so never mind. But anyway, we start with Yeji. And can you just introduce yourself and just tell us a bit about the process of getting involved, and also maybe a bit of what was your perspective on the industry before you started the internship would be really interesting to
So
hear.
I came to UK to do my university degree, and then after that, I just like wanted to experience like working in the UK, and then wanted to just like start my career in the UK. But as a foreigner, it's it is really difficult to join in, especially like design industry because of like mm, also language barrier, culture difference as well. So I was like finding for a job for like a few months already. And then I found the United in Design through my course leader. And then she recommended, oh, why don't you apply to this apprenticeship scheme? So that's why I've like applied and had an interview and luckily got a role.
And you went on to then get a full-time position within David Collins Studio.
So David Collins was my third company that I joined because I had to work four different companies, like 3 months each for
Yeah.
like a year. And I found out David Collins Studio has really nice projects and really nice colleagues as well. So I wanted to join again to explore more my design career. So that's why I've like contacted to Emily and other studio people. Is there any place that I can work for? Yeah, so that's why I'm still here.
That's great. You must have made a good impression then. Um, if we go on to Fanta, you were another one of the internees who's started working for David Collins' studio. Tell us a bit about your experience of how you got involved and how you've come to work with them.
Um, well, I got involved through United in Design. I had actually first seen United in Design the year they had opened. I was scrolling through Instagram. This was around COVID times. Scrolling through Instagram, seen it, and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." And I had applied to study architecture at the time, but I hadn't got the results back, so I wasn't too sure whether I was going to go or not. And then I ended up getting into the university course. So I did the course. And then after the course, I really wanted to go back and also apply to this internship because I was really interested in interior design. So I did that. And luckily, I got an interview and then got a place, got offered a place. My interview was actually with Makeda and it went really well. And David Collins was one of the studios I was really like looking forward to as well. So I'm glad that they could have me and yeah, and took me back.
What was your perception of the industry before you heard about United in Design in terms of, the opportunities that you thought you had ahead of you?
It was really hard because even after I had got my degree at uni doing architecture, I had applied for jobs and just like wasn't hearing anything back. Like a bit oversaturated and also kind of it's easier when you know someone in the industry because I had a couple university friends that had got jobs and stuff like that because they had knew people that were in the industry as well.
Yeah.
So that definitely it can be disheartening, but programs like United in Design and companies and studios like David Collins, like it really it opens the door and I'm really like grateful that I was able to be even like considered for it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll move on to our final. Raaida, you're currently the internee. So obviously through United in Design, you've got the place, but I'm also interested in also your perception or you know, what sort of thoughts you had on how you were going to get experience before you got the placement, the internship.
Yeah, I think after I graduated, I sort of had the same experience that I think a lot of graduates will have, where it's you need experience to get a job, but you need a job to get experience. And it's sort of an endless loop that you get stuck in. And so, having graduated, I was quite, worried about how it might look going forward, especially knowing that a lot of the time it's not necessarily the easiest industry to find a placement in. And so I was quite excited to see an internship opportunity like United in Design that was available. And a friend had recommended it to me the year before I graduated. And so I'd made sure to apply the next year. And I sort of had the impression that I didn't know what to expect. I think there was almost that fear of the unknown in terms of what my perceptions were and how it might be in terms of diversity and inclusion. And so that kind of fear of the unknown, I guess, was the biggest thing for me. And I think, especially at DCS, it's been really welcoming and wonderful. So had a good time with it. And I've definitely seen, in terms of like, I guess, on a wider scale with events that I might have gone to, there is always that kind of lack of diversity sometimes, but it's been wonderful to kind of see it changing through schemes like United in Design.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of interested in is that have you seen that aspect shift over time since, well, I mean, you've the last few years, obviously United in Design have been going for 5 years, but prior to that, did you have a perception of the industry and how diverse and inclusive it was, and has that shifted? Obviously, you've had the benefit of the program, so I'd be thinking there's some positives there. But just overall, do you feel the landscape has changed in respect to diversity and inclusivity?
Yeah, I think it definitely has changed. I think from my perspective, it was one of those industries that I didn't really know what it could look like. And so for me, like I was very fortunate to have grown up in a setting that was quite diverse and multicultural. But even then, going into the design industry was almost kind of looked at, oh, that might not be the right place for you. And so having a scheme like United in Design kind of almost proves the point of, oh, it can exist, that opportunity is out there for me and that it can exist for other people. I don't know specifically whether it will have changed. I'm sure it has changed in the last 5 years, and I think it's wonderful to have seen that. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, it's sort of probably you don't notice it because you're right in it, but you are
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
you are
It's
the thing that
it's
is
hard to
making
say
the
what it would have
difference. Yeah,
been.
yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to see what it would have been sort of 5, 10 years ago because I wasn't necessarily looking at it at that point.
So there's obviously some barriers to your confidence about. This is to all of you guys, if you want to answer, whoever wants to answer here, but this seems like there's been barriers, whether that's to do with coming from another country or language or just cultural expectations to joining particular careers. Just I'm interested to know if there are other barriers to starting a career in design.
I feel like interior design industry is, I think they're not really like hiring intern or like junior designers, because like when I hear like lots of my like friends who went to uni with, they also had like really like difficult time to find for a job, and then they are not even like working in the interior design industry. And also some of these studios are expecting like junior level to just work for free. And I think all those kind of reasons is why it's quite difficult to like just join in this industry, I guess.
So there's a kind of structural thing there, isn't there? So the
Mm,
lack of active internships
mm.
makes it difficult for anybody to get
Yeah,
the
because
experience.
I understand companies' point of view that they want to hire someone who can do actual work straight away. But of course, like someone who's like literally graduated, they can't because they've never experienced it.
Following on from that, you mentioned with like unpaid work, I think paid internship opportunities are a huge thing. Because a lot of the time either they'll be unpaid or they won't be paying enough to kind of make it worth the difficulty of it. So I say like for myself, for example, I'm from Manchester. I moved to London for this internship. And that wouldn't have been something that I would have been able to do at all if it wasn't a paid opportunity. Because it's a difficult move to make, and London's an expensive city to be in. And so I think that makes it a really that's a really important thing to have, to make it more accessible for a lot of people, because the internship opportunity and the ability to have the access to the industry in that way wouldn't be there otherwise. It wouldn't have even been an option for me to come here if it wasn't a paid internship.
Yeah, that's quite an important component, isn't it, of opening up the opportunities. Just thinking about your time working as an intern and also as an employed person, can you think of moments when your background or your perspective has added something valuable to the studio conversation or the design process? Something that you've brought, from your experience into the context of working?
So for me, I worked on one of the Korean projects in our studio, and obviously I know the culture and I know like what Korean people likes, like aesthetic wise. So it was, I guess it was a bit flexible for me to design something for like Asian client, and also communication as well because I know the culture. So that's why I was able to like communicate with clients more efficient way. because we can use like same language together. So yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely really useful. Anything else from you, Fanta or Raaida?
I wouldn't say nothing for me personally stands out as much, but going off of what Yeji mentioned, I think things like if you speak a different language, it really is like a plus in this industry and to do with like projects and stuff. Because even things like FF&E, when you're reaching out to certain suppliers, some suppliers are like French suppliers, German suppliers, and if you do have a skill like speaking a different language, I think you should definitely lead with that too and take courage to apply for and for a job role like this or an internship like this, because you might think that it's nothing, but it really is like a lot. It could boost your job prospects more. Yeah.
Well, I did terribly at French at school, and I wish I could have had that bit of advice, just to make a bit more of an effort. So it's having the skills, some of the skills that you weren't necessarily associate with being an interior designer are really
Yeah.
useful in that
Yeah.
context. Yeah. And what about just to think about what advice you might give to young designers who haven't got through as far as you in the industry, who are aspiring? Have you any sort of thoughts based on what you've experienced of tips to encourage them to find a place within the industry?
I want to say just try everything, and and once you got a like placement, then if you have any questions, just don't afraid to ask questions. Everyone will very happily explain, just because they know that you're like new, you're young, you don't really experience, so just don't be afraid of just showing what you want to do and what your question is, what you're not clear about, then I'm sure it will be fine.
That's really nice. Yeah.
I would say probably not to doubt yourself and remember that like your perspective is actually one of your biggest like strengths as well, because design is about understanding the world around you and like communicating that and things like that. So yeah, I think the more open you are, the more opportunities will also open for you and stuff like that. So yeah. So if you do find opportunities like placements and mentorships, like they can really open your network up. And if you're passionate about design and curious about it, I think you should go for it. Don't hold back.
That's great advice. And just this might be easier question to answer. What's your favorite bit or a favorite part of working, particularly for David Collins Studio, but just in general, perhaps what have you enjoyed most about the placement experience? Start with you, Raaida.
I started as an FF&E intern, so furniture fixings and equipment, and so that was a side to interior design that I didn't really know the most about prior to starting. But I was really excited to start, and I really wanted to learn about it. And I think the most enjoyable thing for me has actually just been learning about all of the different companies, suppliers, manufacturers that are available, and sort of digging myself into seeing what the different styles and fabrics and colors and different ways of describing things. It's really been a steep learning curve, but I've really enjoyed that. And so as a whole, I think just seeing what's out there, and in a way that I probably wouldn't have done myself if I was doing that research, or if I would like through my projects at uni. It's not necessarily applied to a physical real life project, and so doing that I think has been my favorite part.
That's great. Fanta, how about you?
I think my favorite part has been the mentorship. Like it's been really great. It's been more than I expected, especially from David Collins. Because I went to different studios too, and they were great. And David Collins, just like the mentorship here is just is it's been amazing, and just having people who are like willing to share their knowledge and take time and also teach you things and not be and be patient and like yeah, just being patient with you and wanting you to get like integrated into the design world. It's been really good. It's been a great feeling. And it's been a great experience as well.
And Yeji?
I think David Collins are really has a strength on detail design, and I learned a lot through just working here in terms of like just design languages and what I prefer. And also, yeah, just like I think I start to like more of designing something compared to like before I worked here.
That's good. So you've all had some really good positive experiences. Um, Emily, just coming back to you, you're obviously overseeing all this, and you've been doing it for quite a few years, and it's great to see, you've got these different sort of almost little generations of designers coming through. What impact do you think it's had on the studio as a business, but also perhaps it's the way of thinking, its culture, or the conversations that you're having around design?
Yeah, I think there is the kind of fresh perspectives. There are different voices and different experiences kind of contributing to the design. And I think that is something that enriches everybody. So, I mean, the it's lovely. We're kind of speaking the day after International Women's Day, and we've got these kind of three incredible women who have been in our studio and contributing in so many different ways to our project, which has just been really special. Um, but I think in terms of like the thinking and the culture kind of side of things, it's helped us focus. We've had conversations about our recruitment processes, about our work experience opportunities and kind of how we offer those, and that kind of touches back on that point about unpaid internships and that who and is that how you get in to do a work experience, or do we just not offer them, or do we only offer kind of, we've had all those kind of conversations. We've kind of we've been talking and thinking about representation through the internal workshops that we do and kind of events that we go to, and thinking about that we're even just kind of being aware of cultural festivals, and just making sure that we know each other as a person rather than just colleagues. It's kind of more than that, making sure that we understand who each other are. I think that the biggest thing is it's helped us kind of look up and out at the wider world that we are living in, and we're working in, but we're also designing.
Yeah.
And I think that's just been the biggest part for us, really, kind of that thing about, as a company, you're often really kind of focused on what you're doing and looking in, especially from like an HR and people perspective, kind of making sure this is all fine and not looking up and out. And so I think being part of the internship program has really just kind of hearing the experience of people and how they found it difficult to find a job. And there's even kind of somebody saying, oh, I wouldn't have been able to do this if it wasn't paid. And hearing those things just makes you, just kind of reminds you all the time. And I think that's the part that's been really interesting kind of in our thinking and the culture of the company.
I think there's a lot of detail and organization, and particularly the idea of, making sure that people are paid and that it's a rewarding and fulfilling experience. So they're not just sitting there making the tea, or, running sort of errands, but actually being part of that. But I guess what would be the kind of recommendations for other companies to set up this kind of thing? But by the sounds of it, it's about really taking it seriously and investing time and money in supporting the program, isn't it? Not to do it for nothing, to pay the interns and to really give them a proper sort of education, if you like.
Yeah, and I think like from not just with United in Design, but like over the years of us having worked with interns, like we've got people with us now who are kind of midweights, project senior designers. We've grown people, and you're investing in the future of the company, and I think also in just the future. I think also working with United in Design, you're investing in the future, the landscape of interiors, which I think is really special. And yeah, it's I think it is about that would be my thing. It would be kind of look at what it is that that person can bring, and also by paying somebody, how much more motivated they are, how much more likely they are, and also how more motivated you are as a company to make sure that you're utilizing them, that you're not just getting them to be on reception and open the door, that you're, that they're not kind of the default person to do those things, that actually you are teaching and nurturing and growing, and hopefully at the end of that placement, company depending, you're able to maintain that and keep that talent in your company, or you send them out and that you've given them a really solid foundation, and that in a few years' time you might give them a call and say, we've got an opportunity, you coming back?
Yeah, it's that building the network.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, that's great. I think we've done quite well here and covered everything. I just wanted to maybe ask you three again of if you've got any lasting comment about the benefits or how you feel about it all and what it's brought to you. Anything sort of positive and uplifting to finish off the episode.
I am very grateful that I had the opportunity to join as a United Design apprentice and work for David Collins, and then able to join again. So and then become a midweight designer now. So I'm very grateful that I had really nice opportunity. Yeah.
And what about you two, Fanta or Raaida?
I'm also glad that I was scrolling on Instagram that day during COVID.
Oh, that's
And
brilliant. That's like the
yeah,
benefits of social media. Do
it
we know
not
what's
have, I would never have discovered it if I wasn't doom scrolling. But I had a right to doom scroll. It was COVID times, there was nothing going on.
fair
So
enough?
yeah, I'm really I'm grateful to also United in Design founders for doing something like this, because it's something that people can talk about and not really take action, but they've took action and they've actually fulfilled what they were set out to do, and they've helped so many people. So yeah, forever grateful to United in Design.
Yeah, I guess similar to what Fanta said, just grateful for the opportunity that that United in Design has created, and also the ability to gain hands-on experience in the actual industry, as opposed to kind of trying to figure it out all by yourself. There is the whole mentorship program in place, and so it's not just sort of thrown into the deep end. You've actually got someone to contact and talk to and provide help and support when we need it.
That's great. Brilliant. I think that'll do. What do you reckon?
Thanks, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hopefully we didn't pause too much.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll edit
That
all
was
that
an
out.
edited.
Mine is worse, guys.
Everyone's going to sound amazing. I promise you that. That was really good. Thank you. Thanks, particularly you three, for being great participants in your first podcast record, and I hope you enjoyed it, and it'll be one of many, no doubt. By the time you get through your career, you'll be successful, and it'll be great to see how things develop for you guys. And Emily, thank you for your input on that. I think, did we cover enough of the DCS side of things? I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for me, it's not really, obviously it's about DCS, but to a point. But I think it's more about giving these three their voices and
Yeah.
their experience. And I mean, I've been writing notes, so I've just learned loads as well. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's very useful.
I think
Thanks, everyone.
your comment about getting to know people is really important observation, because quite often when you go to work, you just get your head down and do the work, don't you? And you can
Yeah,
come in, go home. No one knows anything about you sometimes. And if you found a way of sharing some of that, whether that's through celebrating like cultural festivals that aren't
yeah,
the classic UK ones, and being a bit more broader in that, it seems to be an enriching part of the experience
yeah.
of
It's been really great for that. Like we've got a few people in the studio at the moment who are fasting, and I was meant to be having a lunch meeting with a couple of them. There was like four of us having a lunch meeting, and then I was thinking like, well, I'm aware that they're fasting, so also we won't be eating during their lunch meeting.
Yeah.
We'll meet over lunch, but we won't eat as well. So just kind of being able to be aware of things, wasn't it?
I'd like to thank Raaida, Yeji, Fanta and Emily for taking the time to speak to me. It's really fascinating to hear the stories of how the United in Design internship programme has helped those young designers get into the industry, and also the impact it's had on David Collins' studio in terms of broadening their diversity, but also helping to create a culture of inclusivity within their organisation. We're really grateful for the support they've shown both in promoting the ride and also sponsoring our kit. You shouldn't underestimate the importance of looking good on a bike, and the design that we've developed alongside United in Design and David Collins' studio, which is going to be supplied by Le Col, is going to make us feel great whilst we ride those long, hard days. If you've enjoyed the conversation, you can find out more about the Clerkenwheels ride, the route, the people involved and how to support the project at clerkenwheels.com. We'll be riding from the University of Plymouth to Clerkenwell Design Week, setting off on Friday the 15th of May and arriving at Clerkenwell Design Week on Tuesday the 19th of May. You can get involved in lots of ways: by donating, sponsoring, sharing the story, hosting a stop-off, or simply helping to amplify the message around inclusion and diversity in the built environment. You can also find links to United in Design, whose work this ride directly supports, helping to create clearer, fairer pathways into creative and spatial professions. I'd like to thank the team from United in Design for supporting our ride, Sophie Ashby and Alex Dawley, and behind the scenes, Eman Akbar, who's been working tirelessly to put things in place, Julianne Webster from Industry Publicity, who's helping us with the marketing and PR of our initiative, and Tom Bourne from Select First, my co-rider, for thinking up the idea, coming up with the name, and keeping me motivated whilst I try to do my training. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe, share it with someone who might enjoy it, and help these conversations reach further afield. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.
Thank you.